Hey everyone, welcome back to the Redlands Rundown, your official podcast of Redlands Community College, where we're committed to helping our students find success in college, in their career, and with everything in between. I'm very excited about today's episode. We're going to dive into talking about financial aid, and I think there's a lot of questions around that. So today I'm joined by our Director of Financial Aid, Paris. I'll let you say hi to everyone.
Macey. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah,
So
I think it'll be great.
dive in and give everyone the lowdown of financial aid, things they thought they knew, need to know. So
Yeah, I'm excited. I feel like I'm going to learn a little bit today. So hopefully I'll be able to share some of the information when I'm out recruiting. Okay, awesome. So let's get started. I want to start with the big picture of financial aid because I think to different people it means different things. So start with telling us about financial aid and what that really means and what it includes.
okay. Yeah, definitely financial aid means a lot of different things to different people. Financial aid, I consider it to be, it's any type of aid, any type of a source of money, maybe just a waiver or two that comes in and can be applied towards a student's balance. So that balance could be tuition fees, housing, meal plans if a school has that. But it's any type of aid that's coming in, whether that be from a Department of Ed, state-issued money, institutional money, outside sources, scholarships from a team, any of that comes in. We're going to consider that to be financial aid.
Okay.
Something that can be applied towards their balance they have.
That's great. The other question I have is, so you've talked a little bit about the different types of financial aid. What types of financial aid are available to our students here at Redlands specifically?
So when a student fills out the financial aid application, that's determining if they qualify for a Pell Grant, which is going to be free money, the good stuff. Federal student loans that you do have to pay back. Some people don't understand that.
Yeah.
It also lets them know if they're eligible to be a work study student, which we get allocated money from the Department of Ed and they can work different jobs maybe on campus. Some extra little grants that we get funding for, like I said, internal, external scholarships, team scholarships, different things. But fill out the FAFSA is usually a requirement to possibly see if you can get any of those.
Okay, great. It's great to know the differences. So the only one of those that you mentioned that have to be paid back are loans, correct?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So now that we've talked about the different types and some of the opportunities that we have at Redlands, elaborate a little bit on who is eligible for financial aid. Just recent high school graduates, or does that include, adult learners? Because we have a good portion of those here at Redlands too.
Yes. Either of them can. So if you're right out of high school, the traditional, freshman coming in, you meet all the qualifications when you do fill out that FAFSA application, then yeah, you could be eligible for some of those types of aid. A returning student or, an adult learner coming back or coming for the first time as well. But if they fill out that application and meet those qualifications, then yeah, they could be eligible as well.
Awesome. Thank you. So now that we've talked about the different types and who's eligible, what's the first step a student should take if they're brand new to this process?
Yes. They're kind of thinking about it. Maybe it's in the back of their head like, hey, I think I might want to go back to school or go to school.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the first thing is just go to the financial aid website. It's studentaid.gov. The first thing they need to do is create an account. So they're going to create a username and password. That's what they're going to use from here on out. If it's in the next 4 years, next 8 years or whatever, they're going to continue to use that. So I always tell them, jot it down, take a picture of it, store it in your phone or whatever, but keep that. And then they're going to use that to go back in and complete the application.
Okay, great. That's awesome. So now that we've talked about the basics and we've kind of got a handle on that information, let's transition to how to actually apply. And I want to start by talking about FAFSA. So tell me a little bit about what is the FAFSA and why is it so important for our students to complete?
Okay. So it's a free application, and I strongly want to emphasis on that free because some students will go and they may pay for a service. The same application is going to get completed, but they're paying $50 sometimes, and you don't have to.
I didn't even know that existed.
Yes.
Okay.
I used to back in the day. They'd go to FAFSA.com, and you're just giving your information to someone, online, and they're plugging it in.
Okay.
We still get it, but they just lost $50.
Yeah.
So don't ever pay for it. But the FAFSA is the application that you're applying for. It's going to, they're going to enter tax information. If they're a dependent student, they're going to have to put parent information as well. But then that's going to end up coming back to the school. And then that's going to let us know if they get any of that, maybe that free Pell money, maybe some of it, all of it, a portion of it. You do have to do that same application to get a loan. So they may not need all of that loan that they could get, just maybe a little bit to help cover some expenses. But again, there's a couple little extra grants, and every little bit helps, to start chipping away at that balance that they may owe. But a lot of scholarships are out there that do require to see, hey, did you fill out a FAFSA? So that's a requirement. There's outside tribal grants. Have to fill out a FAFSA. Oklahoma offers Oklahoma's Promise through the state regions. Another requirement. You got to fill out the FAFSA. So it's an application. It's not really that hard. Yes, I've been doing it for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's hard, but it usually doesn't take that long for a student and a parent to fill it out. Worst case, you don't get some of the free money, but you're not out $50. But at least if you do or don't qualify. And if last minute you decide, okay, I do want to take out a loan, you already have it done.
For sure. Okay.
So you can just follow the next steps. So.
Okay, awesome. So when does the FAFSA open? What deadlines should students keep on their radar? Just give us a timeline of that.
Usually it's around October 1st.
For the upcoming academic
For that next academic year.
Okay.
So it was just made available for this 2026-2027 academic year.
Okay.
So the one we're in currently is 25-26. It's been available. But yeah, they can go ahead and fill it out. So it's usually a target date of around October 1st for that next upcoming academic year. Ideally, yes, if you can fill it out as soon as you can. We're not necessarily processing everything quite yet, but it's out there, and we will as soon as we can start processing. If you do it as early as possible, then you're not scrambling last minute. If you decide to go or you switch schools, at least that school already has it, and you're not having to fill out stuff last minute.
Yeah. So really, no hard deadline then.
Before the end of the whole academic year.
Okay.
But again, don't wait till the last minute. Fill it out if you can sooner, because sometimes there's extra documents we need. And you don't want it to get held up with that.
For sure. Okay, awesome. So what are some common mistakes or misconceptions that you see students typically have when it comes to filling out the FAFSA?
Some of these questions, they've never seen these questions before. They may not understand exactly what it's wanting. One of the questions it asks, were you in a legal guardianship? Well, they think, well, yeah, my parents have legal guardianship of me. So they answer yes. That can change, eligibility. So they just, again, they've never heard that before. They just don't really understand what it means. Or on the FAFSA, it'll ask, are you working towards a graduate or professional degree? Again, they don't really maybe understand. So they just think graduate. Well, yeah, I just graduated from high school. So they put yes. And then boom, you don't qualify for a Pell Grant because of that. So little things like that, they just maybe aren't familiar with. We always tell them, if you have questions, you can probably ask a high school counselor if they're going to help, be able to help you, or reach out to us for that too.
And that answered my next question. Where can they go for support if they get stuck and they need help? So their high school counselor, calling financial aid here at Redlands.
Yeah, definitely. Call us. I even tell people if they're not coming to our school, call. No big deal. High school counselors should be able to answer the questions as well. There's also, a 1-800 number with the FAFSA website. They can usually, and I think they can chat with someone as well.
Okay. So awesome. Thanks. That's very helpful. Okay. So now let's talk about some of the specific opportunities available here at Redlands, because I feel like one of the best parts of being a Redlands student is all of our internal scholarships and tuition waivers that we have available for our students. So I want you to elaborate a little bit on the types of scholarships that Redlands offers for our current and incoming students.
Okay. Yeah. They're not necessarily housed in the financial aid office. It ends up coming through us eventually, but we've got the foundation scholarships. Those are given, through donors throughout the years. We have quite a bit of, some funds there available. The good thing about that is when a student applies for the foundation scholarship, they just have to do one time.
Yeah.
So they put all of their information in, all of their, GPA, if it's a class rank, ACT scores, whatever, and then it's sorted, and then it flags it or puts it in this pool if they meet these requirements for this, GPA, or if it's a certain county you live in, it puts you in the pool for that one. So you don't have to go and apply for 30 different scholarships. It does that sorting, for you. So that's nice. But then we have that. And then we also have the tuition waivers for first-time freshmen coming in for high school or right out of high school, and then the returning students as well.
Yeah. So anybody that's not a brand new high school graduate qualifies for the returning student tuition waiver. Yeah. So those are great scholarship opportunities. And then we also have the Regent scholarships and the presidential scholarships too. That those are for brand new high school graduates, but those cover up to 15 hours of tuition?
16 hours of tuition, usually 400 of fees and 500 books.
Thank you. Yes.
And then that Regent one, if they do qualify, can transfer on with them. After here.
Yep. So now that we've talked about the different opportunities that we have, how do students apply for those scholarships?
All through our website. They can just click on that. I think it's pay for college or pay for school, something. They click on that and it says a scholarship tab. So they can click on that. Usually they're available around November 1st. I think the deadline's around February 1st. So they can fill that out, scroll down. There's different sections. It's pretty easy and self-explanatory which one, to click on and fill that out. And it'll have you or prompt you to attach transcripts and stuff like that. But yeah, they can just fill it all out online. It's pretty simple.
Okay, awesome. One thing I wanted to elaborate on, can you share any specific scholarships for our adult learners or non-traditional students that we have here?
I don't know if we still have it, but I know we had kind of a Reach Higher scholarship.
Yeah, we still do.
Okay. We have an Inspire to Teach through the state regents. So if they're planning on, doing a teaching degree or whatever, there's some funds there. And that can be, again, for multiple years and semesters. And then I think even when they graduate, they get a little stipend for that.
Nice.
Let's see, adult learners. That tuition waiver as well. I know there's housed in your office. I'm trying to think what
it's okay. I think that covers most of the ones that I could think of. But I think it's good to highlight that our students that have maybe taken a break from college and are ready to come back. Sometimes I feel like they think, well, I'm not going to get, extra scholarship funds. We still have those. The Reach Higher Scholarship, we get money every semester, fall, spring, and summer. Yep. So there's any time is a good time to come back to school.
And I even try to tell students, maybe it is because we are a smaller institution that we don't necessarily have tons of people applying for these scholarships.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's funds, it seems like, left over a lot. And we're scrambling over here like, gosh, we want to spend this money.
Yep.
So I'm like, fill it out. The worst that can happen, you don't get it. But there could be no one filling it out. And you know what? You end up being the recipient.
Exactly. So. Yeah, very true. So do you have any tips for students looking to make their scholarship application stand out whenever they send that in? Any tips or tricks for them?
Let's see. If they're filling out any of that, you're trying to, I guess, sell yourself. You're making, wanting to make yourself look as good as possible on these applications. So if it's right out of high school, if you were in any clubs, if you were members of this or that, or you were an officer, you did community service, or you volunteered here or there, you're trying to make yourself stand out, above and beyond the other person, the other applicants. So if you are doing any of that, definitely put all of that on there. If you've received any awards, put that on there. Definitely don't leave an application incomplete. If it's asking for you to attach transcripts, do that. Or if you have questions about it, contact someone, ask them, just don't leave it incomplete.
Yeah.
Then you may be completely out of the running for it.
Yeah. And several of our scholarship applications have an essay portion to it. And I would say sometimes it's easy to just jot a couple sentences down real quick, and turn it in. From my experience, I would, encourage students to take their time and really, try to make that the best representate. Like you said, that's our impression of you.
That's the only thing you can go by. Yeah.
Yeah. Try to take your time and make that the best representation of you possible. So that way we can get a good feel for who you are, what your goals are, and those kinds of things. Yeah.
And I think another thing, don't wait till the last minute, because
for sure
you may log on to that and not realize, oh my gosh, there's an essay I have to do. And it's, 30 minutes before the deadline at midnight or whatever. Or you have to get transcripts that you didn't request already. So give yourself plenty of time, to fill that out, and don't wait till the last minute.
Awesome. Okay. And the other thing that I want to say is, after you've applied for scholarships, make sure you check your email regularly that you put on those applications. There's been several times where we've had students apply for scholarships and have had offers and don't respond.
Don't accept it. Yep.
And so then we have other people that are waiting for those. So check your emails and whatever you put on the application.
Definitely.
Accept that. Yeah. Okay. That's great. So I think we've kind of covered all the basics, how to apply, following up with that. So I want to shift gears now and talk about how students can stay on top of everything after their aid is in place. So I want to tell us a bit about what are some common mistakes that students make that can delay or affect their financial aid.
Yeah. Follow up on checking your emails.
Mm-hmm.
So that can definitely be a mistake. I'm sorry, a mistake, but we're going to communicate through that email. We've kind of gotten away a little bit from the, mailing of letters, trying to be cost effective there. We'll still mail some letters, but we're going to do a lot of correspondence through email. So definitely check your email. If you don't have a Redlands email set up yet, it's probably going to go to your personal one that's maybe been listed, but check both of them.
Yeah.
And that's how your instructors are going to correspond, with you as well. But check that. Financial aid is really cracking down on taking classes that go towards your degree. So you're new to this, you may not know, but the Department of Ed is only going to allow, you can take whatever class you want, but in order to get that financial aid, the federal aid, it has to be classes that go towards that degree. Mm-hmm. So you may want to just take this for fun, and that's fine, but it could end up affecting what you do end up receiving. So kind of just students being aware of that. And again, they've never done this before, so they don't know.
For sure.
But just kind of checking in on things, logging into your accounts that you may have with Redlands, seeing if anything else needs to be turned in is a big one, because we'll have students that gets to the end of the semester and they're like, where's my financial aid?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, we emailed you and we need this, this, and this.
Uh-huh.
And, sometimes it's too late once the semester's over. So definitely be proactive about it. If you haven't heard from us, reach out to us. No big deal.
Yeah, for sure. We're always happy to help.
Yes.
So you've touched on this a little bit. I want to expand a little bit more on how can a student's enrollment or their academic progress affect their eligibility for aid?
Okay, yeah. So a lot of the awards that you do receive are based on the number of hours that you're enrolled in. So a loan, for one, you have to at least be in 6 credit hours. Mm-hmm. So if you're in 4, you're not eligible for the loan. If you're in 12, you are eligible. So 6 or more. Federal Pell Grants are based on the number of hours as well. So you can get a little bit of your Pell if you're in 1 hour. Or if you're in 12 or more, you're getting the max amount. Mm-hmm. So it's prorated, based on the number of hours that you're in. So just be aware of that. You may see you're awarded this large amount, but you don't get all of it. It's possibly because you're not full-time or something.
Right. Okay.
But students do need to be aware, the Department of Ed's not just going to keep handing out this money if you're not doing well in classes.
Right.
So you do have to meet a certain GPA requirement. That's decided upon a little bit by each school. We roughly tell people about a 2.0 because that's the GPA, requirement for graduation. That's about what it is for financial aid purposes too. So maintain about a 2.0 and then a completion rate of 67%.
Okay.
And that's when we divide out the number of completed hours by what you've attempted overall. So as long as you can keep those two at that 67% and a 2.0, then you maintain eligibility. But if you don't, then you're at risk of losing it.
Okay.
So, and that can follow you, as you go on transfer from here as well.
Yeah, I think that you make a good point there with things follow you. Just because you're, starting to fall off a little bit at Redlands doesn't mean that you can transfer to another school and start with a clean slate.
Exactly.
Everything goes with you. So be proactive.
And kind of the reverse with that. Say you come here after transferring from somewhere else. Those transcripts are coming here too.
Yep.
So again, it's following you.
Yeah, for sure. So I want to talk as we wrap up kind of that information about staying on top of things. What's your best advice for keeping financial aid stress-free throughout the semester? Because I know anytime we talk about money, especially nowadays, that's a very stressful thing. Everything is expensive. So what advice do you have for our students?
Again, you may not decide, you want to even attend school until the last minute. And I get that. But if you kind of have an idea like, hey, I'm looking at this, maybe in a couple months, when fall rolls around, I'm thinking about I might want to take classes. If that's in your mind, fill out the FAFSA. Be proactive about that and, fill it out early. Because it's awful if you are last minute and then it's like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I have enough money. Do I have money to get books? And now you're already 3rd week of school and you're behind and you kind of, not setting out on a good foot. So I don't know, be proactive about it. Check the emails. If you haven't heard from someone, don't be afraid to reach out to them.
Yeah. And if you have questions and you don't know where to go, come see Paris and Mackenzie in financial aid or give them a call.
And even you can probably ask other people, they know who's in our office. Sometimes they may even be able to answer the question well enough, Mm-hmm. If not, we can definitely direct you, where you need to go to get the answers.
Okay, great. That's very good advice. So before we wrap up, I want to talk about some words of encouragement, especially for those that are thinking about applying to Redlands soon. So my first question here in our last segment is, what's the very first step a prospective student should take if they want to get started with financial aid? And you talked about that a little bit, but is there anything else that you want to elaborate on that with?
Create the username and password, so create the ID that you have to have, fill out the FAFSA. I've even had students that maybe even haven't done those steps yet, but they just don't know. They haven't listened to a podcast like this or something. They don't really know what this whole financial aid process is about or what they could possibly receive. So we'll have people just call. They may not even come to Redlands, but they just want some answers. And it's simple questions, but just kind of giving them the guidance on what to do and what resources maybe are available. And it just kind of gives them reassurance that there's funds out there, you know, that you might be able to qualify for. And they're like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
So just reach out, you know, even if it's before you fill out the FAFSA, just to ask general questions. That's fine.
Okay, awesome. How can our financial aid office help new students prepare before classes begin?
I feel like we are able to help them prepare or be prepared for when classes begin. If a student has enough financial aid to cover all their tuition fees, housing, whatever expenses they have more than enough aid, or maybe they have a scholarship that allows them to get some books with that scholarship. We allow them to purchase those books with that financial aid, the extra financial aid they have, or the book scholarship. So they can purchase those books before classes even start. So then when day one, they're not sitting there for, 2 weeks without a book, or now they finally order them and now they have to wait for it to be shipped.
Right.
By doing that, we're able to give them kind of a leg up and they're ready to start day one with resources in hands, books, everything. And then they're not, starting a couple weeks behind without having books or being able to do assignments.
Yeah, exactly.
So I feel like that's kind of something that we'd offer. They can purchase that, against their aid if they have it. So
yeah. Okay, great. That's helpful. Any final tips or encouragement for students that are nervous about affording college?
I get it. I've been there, I'm not saying we're going to be able to give you enough to cover everything, but we're definitely going to try, with what resources we do have. And being that we are such a small school, if I know that you've got funds that you're dealing with, be like, hey, Macey, you got any extra funds? Can I help this person out? They're not eligible for this or that, We've got other programs on campus too. Be like, hey, anything left over? Or we'll call the Trio Ames, program or whatever, and be like, hey, we can maybe switch your classes and get you into this. Right, makes your bill a little less, makes the money you are getting go and stretch a little further. So I don't know. I think just being a small institution and everybody kind of knows everyone.
Yeah, and I think
it helps.
I think the students that are listening that are thinking about coming to Redlands or current students, you're already making a great financial decision, and that's one of the selling points of Redlands. And Dr. Moore and I were talking about it the other day about how we haven't raised tuition in 8 years. Yeah. So our tuition is sitting at, already if you're paying everything, tuition and fees, it's already at, relative to other institutions, a pretty affordable price point. So you're already making a great financial decision by deciding to come to Redlands for your associate's degree and then transferring on or going into the workforce. So you're already setting yourself up for a stronger position financially. But like you said, reach out to anybody, an advisor, myself, come by financial aid, business office. We're all here to help. And we want there to be as little barriers as possible for students to get an education. Yeah. And I'll even have parents come in, or I guess they are the parents, but they're an older adult student, and then we get to talk in and they've got a high school student, their child's in high school. And then it ends up branching off to, well, have you applied for Oklahoma's Promise for them? Oh my gosh, so maybe it's not even them, but it's preparing their child, and they can have those resources then. So, yeah. So you mentioned Oklahoma's Promise. I want you to elaborate on that a little bit before we wrap up. So everyone knows what that is and when they should apply for it.
Okay, yes. Oklahoma's Promise, you have to apply when you're in junior high school, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. I think they might be changing that and extending it through 12th grade this next upcoming year. But you fill it out then. It is based on your parents' income. And then if you meet that qualification, then the students have to take certain core classes through high school with a certain GPA. Then once you graduate, the high schools will send that off to the state regents. You meet those qualifications, and that can pay up to like 5 years of tuition at an Oklahoma school. It's huge. It doesn't go past a bachelor's degree, so it's just up to a bachelor's degree. But yeah, you get that. That's huge. And then you can get maybe a Pell Grant, other scholarships on top of that. So they do stack. So
great. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we elaborated because I am not an Oklahoma native. And so when I heard about that, I'm like, that is fantastic for our students here. So yeah, I wanted to make sure all our listeners knew about that. Okay. Anything else that you want to share with our listeners today?
I think that's about it. It can be an intimidating process. Once you do it a couple times, you get the hang of it. But it's really not that bad. But
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Paris, and sharing all this very helpful information. I really enjoyed it, and I feel like I learned something today, too.
Good deal. You're hired.
Well, if you would like to learn more or visit with Paris and our financial aid team, you can stop by our office, send them an email. What's your email address for your office?
I'll just give the generic one.
No.
financial.aid@redlandscc.edu.
Awesome. Thank you. Or you can visit our website at redlandscc.edu/financial aid to try to find more information or just reach out to them. So
yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you guys for joining us today on this episode of Redlands Rundown. Be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening so you can make sure to listen to upcoming episodes, and we will see you next time. See ya.
Bye.